Today I'm going to show you exactly what good posture looks like versus bad posture. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? It's Blake Bowman here with GuerrillaZen Fitness, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you and demonstrating what good posture, what perfect posture looks like relative to bad posture. So you may be like thinking to yourself, isn't that obvious? Doesn't everybody know what bad posture looks like versus good posture? Well, the answer to this is yes and no. Most people know what good, shoulder posture looks like up top, but most people are not really aware of how the body should align and what the posture down below the shoulder should look like in the hips, the legs, and the feet. There is an optimal alignment for all of those areas to be in order for your posture up top to be optimal as well. So what I'm going to do today is get down into like the nitty-gritty and show you how everything should be lined up. So right now I'm going to show you what bad posture looks like. Alright, so I brought my sister Catherine in to help me with this today. She's going to kind of be my model. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first what bad posture looks like from both the side and frontal perspective, okay? And then once I'm done with this, I'll show you what good posture looks like. So to start off, Catherine, I'm going to have you face that way. So starting from the side, this is basically, these are some of the most common problems that I see in my clients as well as in the general population. So the first thing is, the feet are going to be duck-footed, basically pointing out away from each other. There's going to be an anterior pelvic tilt, which means the pelvis is tilted forward, and that's caused from tight muscles in the hips that form as a result of sitting. The upper back is going to be a little bit rounded, and the head is going to be kind of like pushed forward like this. Okay, most people don't stand like this, so try to like relax a little bit here, Catherine. But for the most part, the head is going to be pushed forward in front of the center of gravity. The upper back is going to be rounded. You're going to have this excessive arch in the low back, and the pelvis itself is going to be tilted forwards. Okay, so now looking at bad posture from the frontal perspective, basically what we can see here lots of times is, first of all, there's going to be internal rotation of the arms. And basically that means that the thumbs are going to be converging, pointing at one another like this. This shows basically that the arm bone is twisted in. This can set you up for all sorts of different, shoulder injuries in here. We're also going to see that duck foot thing again. And when this happens, when the feet turn out like this, what this encourages is pronation of the ankle, which is collapsing in like that, right? So basically when that happens, your knee moves in just like Catherine's. When your knee is moving in like that, so is your femur, and this can cause all sorts of different hip and low back issues as well as shoulder issues, okay? So, looking at people from the front, this is something that's very common. You can see internal rotation of the arms, feet that are pointing away from each other, pronated ankles, and oftentimes too, you'll actually see that people either have some sort of right or left lean going on as a result of working at a computer or side sleeping. Now remember that each of those postural positions that Catherine was in, those are some of the worst postural positions and the most common postural deviations that I see in the general population as well as with my private coaching clients. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over perfect posture and show you how that is different. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what good posture looks like, right? So basically, we'll start from the side here. Go ahead and face the side. When you're facing the side like this, really what you want, again, you want those thumbs pointing forward here. You want the head back. You want the thoracic spine, which is the upper back, to be neutral. You also want your pelvis to be neutral, right? So Catherine, my sister here, actually does have a little bit of an anterior pelvic tilt lots of times when she's not thinking about it. But basically, we want that pelvis to be a little bit more neutral. That curve in the lower back should be there, but it should be very minimal. There should be a slight curve in the upper back too, however, very minimal, right? When you start getting exaggerated spinal curves, that's where you start getting into dysfunctional territory, and that's when it becomes a problem, right? So feet are pointing forward here, pelvis is nice and neutral. The lower back has a slight inward arch to it, but not a lot. The thumbs are pointing forward, and her head is right on top of her shoulders, and her head is supported right underneath her cervical spine, her neck. Okay, so now taking a look at this from the frontal perspective, what we can see, again, feet are pointing forward. Is just by making that adjustment, basically your feet are not going to be as likely to collapse, to pronate in like this, okay? And that's going to save you a lot of knee, hip, and lower back problems, as well as shoulder problems. So that little adjustment right there is going to be key for her. Having her arms in a more neutral position like this is also key, right? Thumbs pointing forward. When they're turned in like this, like I said, this really encourages the development of dysfunction and pain right in this area. You can get impingement, bursitis, all sorts of things from being in this turned in posture. So really what you're striving for, toes pointing forward, thumbs pointing forward, butt squeezed so that the pelvis is not leaning forward, it's flat. And from this perspective too, you want to be standing directly vertical, right? You don't want to be like leaning from side to side. So to drive my point home here, what I want to do is kind of compare Catherine in good posture versus Catherine in bad posture side by side. Okay, so from the side here, what we can see on the left with her standing in perfect posture, we can see that her ear is pretty much directly over her shoulder joint. Okay, there's a bone in the shoulder called the acromion. You want the ear to be right over that. You then want the acromion, the shoulder, to be directly over the hip. And you want the hip to be right over the knee and the knee to be right over the ankle, okay? You can see that. However, in the second picture to the right, you can see that Catherine's posture is a lot worse here. She's leaning forward. That vertical line that's supposed to be going through the ear, the shoulder, the hip, the knee, and then the ankle is missing some of those points, okay? And basically that is very bad. Okay, so now we're gonna take a look at her from the front. So here on the left, you can see that she's very well aligned. Her pelvis is nice and neutral. There's nothing weird going on. Her arm bones are in a neutral position. Her feet are pointing forward. And on the right, you can see again some of the most common postural problems, right? Her arms are turned inward. She's internally rotated. Her feet are pointing away from each other, which will allow her arches to collapse, which can cause knee and hip problems. And then you can also see that she's actually leaning a little bit to the right, which is very common. A lot of people develop shortness in the muscles on the side of their trunk as a result of like using a computer mouse. And then if you kind of stay in that position for long periods of time, or if you're somebody that sleeps on your side, then you can develop this kind of sideways lean thing that we see going on here. All right, so that's it. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and it kind of educated you more as to what constitutes good posture, right? It's not just about having like, your chin up high with your shoulders rolled back. There's a lot more that goes into that, and that's what I try to, teach you today. So at this point you may be like, okay, that's all well and good. Now I understand, what perfect posture looks like, but how do I achieve that? Well, you're in luck because actually I put together an awesome ebook called Posture, the Ultimate Life Hack. And basically in that ebook, I teach you a plethora of different strategies as well as exercises, strengthening exercises and stretching exercises that actually improve your posture. So you can put these things into your routine, do these exercises daily, and your posture is actually going to improve. Now to get access to that ebook, all you need to do is open up the description down beneath this video and click the first link available there. What that will do is it will take you to my webpage where I'll ask you for your email. As soon as you enter in your email, I'll send you right over to the ebook. I'll actually email that to you. Now, if you're watching this on mobile or any other like handheld device and you couldn't find the description, you can also get to that same page on my website to download Posture, the Ultimate Life Hack using this button right over here. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do that over here. And if you want to see more videos about posture, I talk about this a lot on my channel, then check this video out right over there. And that's it for today. I'll see you next time.